art lovers. I am Itumeleng Mamase from the West Rand, Randfontein, Johannesburg. I am a visual artist. I studied art in high school, but I never studied it in university, so I'm mainly self-taught and blessed, I guess. And yeah, welcome to my studio. Sure, my painting style varies depending on the message that I'm trying to bring out in the piece. So you'll see some of my works are, they're mainly contemporary style, but you'll find cubism, pop art, neoclassicism, or sometimes a mixture of the different art movements, and they all come together to create my style. Oils. I love oils. I love working in oils on canvas, particularly because even if I go back after a day or two, I can still blend. So for me, because I like a lot of the realistic type of style as well, I need to create layers. And in order to create layers, I have to use my oils to build that up. So if I find that acrylics and so on dry up too quickly, it takes away from that look and feel that I'm trying to get. So yeah, oils are my favorite, my first preference. The use of color in my work, I mainly use more of a pastel type palette. So you'll see your light grays, your light blues, pinkish, brownish colors, particularly because the statement that I use, well, that my artist statement is more of the purpose and power of women. So I generally try to bring out the essence of women in my pieces, and those color palettes actually give me more of that expression of emotions, I find. Okay, the themes that I'm exploring is the purpose, power, and essence of women as they were intended by the creator. So generally you'll find either I'm moving through different time periods as the woman's role has changed over the years, which is something that I've found, and that's what I'm trying to explore, is that what is the original intention and purpose of the woman, and why, and what is causing the changes throughout the many generations, because I find that if you look at the man's role hasn't changed that much. So yeah, those are generally my themes and concepts that I explore. My most recent painting, I was actually looking at the role of women as protectors. So because we find that there's an inherent masculinity within the feminine role, so that's what I was trying to explore. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't have a favorite, guys. I don't have a favorite. They're all my babies. I love them all. Letting go is very difficult. Yeah, I think each piece has a different meaning at that point in time. So it's very difficult to say one is my favorite. Yeah. Yeah, every piece that I have, I want them all in my house. Let's just say that. So I don't have a favorite. Oh, no, can't answer that. That's actually a tricky one. When a painting is finished, it actually comes together, but I feel like with artists, an artwork is actually never finished because you can continue working on it forever, right? So even when I do see a client again and I see a piece that I worked on, there's things that I can pick up, like, oh, actually, I could have done this. I could have, if I had more time. But I think it's just being content with getting that specific message out that you're trying to put together in the first place, and just making sure that the that the detail is actually there, the quality is on point, and I think then you're happy to say, okay, we're good to go. A lot of the times it's either time pressured, or you've got an exhibition and you have to send them through to framers. So otherwise we'd probably continue forever and ever and non-stop. So it's just being content and learning not to be a perfectionist for me. Yeah. How has my painting style evolved over time? I think it's, how has it evolved over time? I think it's matured. My painting style has matured rather than, I guess that is evolving. It's matured in the sense that I try to continue learning how to paint, learning how to draw, pushing myself. So when I look at my works from a couple of years ago to now, I can see the evolution in that and me trying to find my voice. So I'm more deliberate now and more intentional about my paintings. So there's more of a maturity rather than an evolution, I would say. How to approach the use of light and shadow? It depends on the piece, really. If it's a portrait, where's the light coming from? What type of mood and emotion are we trying to depict? If there's a piece with the lady who's standing or sitting by the window, then we already know where the light will be coming from, and then that directs all your shadows. It depends what we're trying to achieve. The surface plays a big role. I've found, I actually noticed that when I switched to Fabriano paper, it wasn't giving me the same style and tone when I painted on Fabriano paper versus when I do it on canvas. I think also it goes to the absorption of the material and whether or not, say, the oils are able to shine through or they get absorbed by the material. So I found that it's much better to use things like charcoal, pastels on your Fabriano papers, and then your oils and acrylics on the more fabric type material. So it's just playing around with the different mediums to see how they come out. Can I discuss the role of negative space in my work? Yeah, actually, because I tried to play around more with that now as opposed to just doing a plain old, say, portrait. So what that gives you, it gives you more of a 3D effect in terms of your piece, which you are then able to relate a bit more. So just playing around with the space, putting, instead of having just a woman standing there, you put her in a room. So then you've got your background and your foreground, which gives it a bit of a more realistic feel. So the audience is better able to connect with your piece, I feel, or I believe. So it helps in that sense, as opposed to just having a 2D type of piece. So, yeah. Favorite art movement? I would say probably neoclassicism is my favorite, because if you look at my pieces, a lot of them have the neoclassical background, which is your thinly applied paint, that background that has that brownish look. It's more of a vintage feel. So even the piece, you can't see it now, but hopefully they'll show it. I feel it brings a lot of power. I think it was mainly used by the Greeks, I'm not sure, but when you look at the Roman Greek pieces, they're showing quite a bit of powerful people or times of war. So I try to incorporate that into my pieces, even if it's just a piece of cows, with cows standing there, but to make it more powerful, that's the type of background and colors and tones that I use. Yeah. That gives an illusion of being alive. How would I create it? Sure. I think playing with like we were talking about earlier when we were talking about having that negative space, having that background, foreground. It creates more of a 3D effect. And also I feel like if I layer my pieces, so you have your base and then you give it a bit of time to dry out and you go back to it, but you're still able to blend in some of the colors, it becomes more 3D and more alive. I think that for me would mean alive, if that's what we mean. Dreams versus reality. Sure. Let me think about that. If I were to... Okay, I think how I would approach it. Because I don't think the moment you say, okay, dreams versus reality, when I think of dreams, already I'm thinking more of a surrealism type art movement, which I haven't done much of. But if I were to try create a piece that would be dreamy, also keeping to my artist statement as, the purpose and power of women, I would imagine having something more airy-fairy, maybe a woman on clouds, or having clouds somewhere, keeping to the pastel palette that I use, because that's a bit more soft, versus the more realistic. I think I would go trying to get either a female figure and trying to get the actual essence of her, but more realistically rather than the light colored versus the darker color, I guess. I don't know. I must try explore that and I'll get back to you again. I think success as an artist is actually being an artist, right? If you believe that that is your purpose and you are actually living it and fulfilling it, I think for me that is success. Whatever it is that something was intended to do, if you're in it, then that for me is success. Various, different, and I don't know what the word would be, but it's something to do with, I don't know the exact word, but more like exploring, still, what's the word, help me? Exploratory, is that a word? Different, exploratory, various, ever-changing. Okay, that's more than 3 words, but we're still trying to get there. We're still trying to figure out the style, but I'm also not trying to box myself within a specific style. So until I'm happy and comfortable and we've gotten it, we'll still keep exploring. Yeah. I think August House is known for the great quality artists that it produces or it houses, if I could say. And how I ended up here, funny story, but let's not tell the story. How I ended up at August House, I think it was a year or 2 before. I had been to one of the open studios and I was excited and just said this is one of the places that I eventually want to be at. And I think I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw a post and they were advertising space, and I always thought that you were chosen to be here, so I always thought that I'd have to work on my artistry, on my brand, to be eventually chosen to be here. But when I saw the post that you're able to come through and rent out a space, it was a no-brainer for me, and here I am today. First exhibition here at August House, or just
for you, your first
My first one. My first exhibition was. It was a bit of a hustle. It was a bit of a hustle. My first exhibition was in Soweto, part of a group exhibition. What was it called? Something to do with COVID. And there were great artists there. I can't remember the other guys. But for me, it was a little upcoming girl trying to, find her space in the art world, because I'm coming from a corporate background. So for me, I had a lot to learn. I remember I had brought out 1 million pieces to that exhibition, and the other more established guys had like 2-3 pieces, and I was just like, wow, I look like a tuck shop. But yeah, it was really nice. It was really fun. I got to learn and meet the other guys that were there, that were showcasing as well. So it was fun. It was a learning curve, but yeah. The most unusual item. Unusual, I wouldn't say it's unusual, but I've recently started using resin. So resin is basically two chemicals that you put together, and they dry up like glass. So they're generally used in the other industries, but I've tried to incorporate it now within my pieces, and I've started sculpting with resin, which is a bit tricky and a bit weird for me. So I think that would be the weirdest material, I guess, that I've used. Oh, not if I decide. I'm gonna get married, guys. We're just waiting. Waiting. Where? I don't know. I've always thought that would be a conversation that we'd have with hubby to be, but because I probably have like the wildest dreams. I wanna get married somewhere overseas, but on a beach, but still in a temple. As long as it's in a church, okay? As long as I get married in a church, the rest we'll see. We'll ask hubby. Up and coming female artist, I would say. What would I say? I just imagine what would I say to myself. I would say don't be afraid to try. Not even try, just do it. Don't second guess yourself. You do have a place in the art world. There's more than enough space for everybody, and just be intentional and deliberate about what you do. Don't just let passion drive you, but be disciplined in what you do, and know what you stand for and where you come from and what you're trying to achieve. And do it. Serve your gift to the world, as we are doing. Come join us. Come. We need you. We need more of us. Yeah, that's me. That's the last question, right? Okay, cool.